Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Pregame Show podcast. Cubs getting ready to take on the Rays after losing 3 out of 4 against the Reds. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Cody Delmendo. And by the way, in the building right now, Big Dave, ALLCITY, like the mayor.
Did you know that Big Dave did that?
Yeah, that's him saying. I don't know if people know that. If you hang around for the end and you hear ALLCITY like the mayor, that is Big Dave.
That
just so people know.
You recently discovered that.
I recently discovered it. Did you guys know we've got a super chat? We're barely starting the show, right on time. Kevin Wells running the 1s and 2s. It is from Chris. Is it Piguero? Is that how he says it?
Yeah.
Piguero, yeah.
There
we go.
Piguero. Long
time no see, everybody. I'm traveling back to Chicago. I'm going to see the Cubs game next week, maybe even a Friday 120. Hey. I might not be here, but I still listen. Cheers to all. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
appreciate
Chris.
it.
Yeah, we
have to come out to Friday 120.
But
come out to Friday 120. Murphy's next Friday.
This Friday.
Wait, this Friday, yeah.
We have consecutive ones.
Back-to-backers,
right?
It's
a long
because he's saying next week. Yeah,
it's
right.
a long homestand. Okay.
So you can come Murphy's, 10 a.m. You can tell Braggs how much you hate him or love him.
There you go.
And you can tell me how much you hate me or love me. And then drink Blue Moon with us.
And if you want to see my legs, probably going to wear shorts.
Wow. Okay.
It's supposed to be 80-something.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's supposed to be like 90.
I'm still like amazed that I got to see Luke's legs like a week ago.
Pretty white, huh?
Now that's a great sound drop right there. Out of
clip that, please.
Out of context.
Out of context.
Clip that.
Out of context.
Chat, clip that.
Ron
Should really
S.
start the no context CHGO Cubs account.
Ron S. says Cubs play 27 games this month. It's important for the Cubs to at least go 17-10 in June.
And they're at what?
Well, I don't know what they are this month. I just said they had to go better than I was hoping, like 8-1 in 9 games against the Reds and White Sox, and we got 4-5.
I would say they're probably right around 500 for the month.
4-5 or 4, something like that. 4 and
Not
4
good.
maybe. One of those two.
New injury news coming in before the game tonight. Chris, by the way, says he loves us all equally. That's not the right answer, Chris. It's you love me the most and then them.
No.
No?
No.
We're 4
and everybody's
4.
supposed to say I agree with Stuckey.
We'll let you believe that.
Thanks.
We're 4 and 4 in the month.
4 and 4 in the month.
4 months, 500.
All right. Ben Brown to the injured list. He's the latest.
Yeah.
Got a sore neck. Colton Brewer back from the injured list.
I, too, have a sore neck.
Right?
My
From doing this during the games.
Yeah, my neck's a little sore. I slipped on it wrong yesterday.
Oh,
no, that's they said he'd been dealing with it for a couple weeks, like just maybe been bugging him is what I remember. Is that what was
I wonder how much
Tampa.
I wonder how much that was it affecting him, because if it was, that stuff bothers me. I know guys are always hurt throughout the season. There's always something nagging, but if it's impacting a guy's play, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Is 80% of Ben Brown better than
He hadn't been
90% of the next guy?
He hadn't been very good his last 2 appearances anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Were those impacted by this?
TJ Friedl owns him.
Yes, he does.
That's it. He's the only one who really owns him. So, I mean, I don't know. But I will say his last 2 starts, he had given up the long ball.
He's still a guy that I was fairly confident in when he was in the mound, whether it was bullpen or rotation. Now,
Same.
Wicks be back in the rotation, right?
Yeah,
I would say so.
I would assume is like Wicks moving back in that slot, and Brown may not have been long for the rotation.
I was going to say that might have been coming anyway.
Yeah, so that might have been what they kind of were going with. Obviously, part of that is wanting to limit Brown's innings over the season, and Wicks obviously had missed like a month. Was it about a month, something like that? So he obviously isn't like innings-wise been used as much this year, so it would have made sense to switch him as long as the performance was what was good for Wicks. So it might have been coming anyway, but obviously still a injury that, whether you're talking about the rotation or the bullpen, like, it's going to have a trickle-down effect on the rest of the pitching staff regardless. Losing Brown the way he's been pitching for him.
Yeah, it's about just having the best players on the roster at the same time, and right now, he's the latest guy out. But they've been shuttling guys in and out. Colton Brewer? Did you like what you've seen at all from him or not?
I mean, they've used him in low leverage a lot. There have been a few games where he came in and pitched. I mean, I don't have an opinion on Colton Brewer. He's the most I don't know guy on this team.
Yeah, it's just like
he's a little mid.
No, it's not even mid.
He's not even sus.
No, it's just like I don't know. They used him mainly in low leverage.
No, he'd been fine in the role that they had him out of the bullpen, but he's not like a guy that you're. I would say he's probably not a guy that you're like He's definitely not a guy you're gonna be like we're gonna plug him in the high innings right away. Now that we got him back, right? Like you're not looking at him as that with Colton Brewer. He's just he's another arm that can provide some innings and hopefully good innings for the Cubs out of the bullpen, and that's kind of you need guys like that on your roster, obviously, but that's kind of just where he's at in this bullpen picture for the Cubs right now.
Oh, we talked yesterday on the off day podcast about Nico and the hand, and there had been talk. Corey and Brendan talked about it on Sunday's podcast, whether or not the IL is being used correctly by the Cubs, and it looks like Nico, if he doesn't play tonight, which he is apparently available but not in the starting lineup, if he doesn't play tonight in some sort of reserve role later in the game, then he likely will play tomorrow?
Yeah, so this is...
Possibly play tomorrow?
Yeah, so the report out of Tampa, this is from Mega Montemurro of the Chicago Tribune. Nico Hoerner fractured right hand, went through extensive hitting session pregame, and if he doesn't experience swelling in his hand tomorrow, Craig Counsell is optimistic he will be in the lineup. Counsell said he'd be comfortable using Hoerner off the bench tonight if needed. So, yeah, it looks like it looks like for now they're confident he won't have to go on the IL and can play as early as tomorrow.
As long as he can handle the pain.
Yeah, as long as there's no swelling. That's just different kind of stuff. And, like, the reports that were coming out over the weekend with Nico is, like opinions from different doctors, I guess, was like playing through it won't hurt anymore. Like it won't affect.
Can't make the injury worse by
something
playing
like that.
with
Yeah, like no risk in making the injury worse by playing through it. And obviously they've given him a few games now to just rest and sit out. I don't know. It could obviously just make more sense. It could make more sense to just let him take the full IL stint, just give him the full rest, 10 days, whatever. You're not playing down a man. At least not like he may play today, but like at this point it looks like they're still playing down a man unless he actually comes in the game. So Counsell's obviously balancing that, and the front office is going to be involved in that decision. But like balancing that with, Nico got hit was Thursday when he got hit in the hand, right?
This is his
fourth
game. This is the fourth game he's missing.
Thursday, yeah. So it's 4 games, like
potentially missing.
You may only miss him for 4 games versus like if you put him on the IL, you may miss him. You'd miss him for 10 or whatever it is, right? So
the off day helped a little bit.
Yeah, it helped. You're not losing an extra game on that because of the off day. But it's just like that that balance that Counsell and Jed and all those guys like have to think about. Is like, and this is what we talked about the last time with Nico's. Like, can you afford to not have him play for a few games versus having the whole IL stint? And I don't know. That's always a tricky situation, especially when you're talking about a hand. Like the little things in the hand that always make that stuff tricky.
Well, I mean, so much of hitting is hands.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I know Cody said this yesterday over on the couch after the show. What can we expect from him if and when he does play? Are you going to get a guy that is going to be 50% out there? Or is he able to play through the pain and give you the normal at bat that he gives you? I'm not super worried about him defensively over at second base, although I was slightly intrigued, even though I know defensively it was worse. I was slightly intrigued by the idea of at least watching Bush play second base a couple games.
Yeah. Well, so he played Sunday, right? And that's where he's had, all his or most of his minor league innings were at, not most of them, the majority.
More than he had at first.
More than anywhere else was second base in the minor league. So he has some experience
238
there.
starts.
Yeah, something like that. Like, I think it was 238 starts in like another 3 games or something like that he had actually had moved over to second base. Yeah. So he's like one of the options there. Obviously, Bodie's an option that's on the major league roster right now, and even Morel could be an option over there when we're talking about like, do they still want to play him at third?
The Cubs clearly aren't confident with Bush over at second because on Sunday they still brought Bodie in late, and that's fine, whatever. I don't really know what they should do with that. Like, obviously, a lot of talk about Morel and his struggles at third. I was in my Twitter space today, and we were talking about Morel a lot. Like, if you still want to play him in the field and try and still be able to utilize that DH as like a multiplayer field, like, you could play Morel at second in this instance. Nico's not going on the injured list, so it's not going to be an everyday thing, but it is something they could do, and I think we could all sit here and confidently say that of the positions that he's done well at defensively, it's been second base
Morel?
and shortstop. Yeah.
Yeah, his second base is his best
For
position.
sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe then you could move Bush back to DH, and then you can have Bellinger at first, and you still have a solid defensive infield. That's an option.
I think the only who plays third would Bodie in that.
That would be Bodie, or Bush also has experience at third as well. Like I really think they envision this guy to be like a Max Muncy type, and that's what he's done with the Dodgers. He plays some first, he's played some second, he's played some third. They have, like, that's kind of like the comparison that he got whenever he got traded over here. Everyone kind of said Max Muncy. I don't know how the Cubs feel about him playing second or third, but obviously on Sunday it showed they basically said it without saying it in some way, because if you're taking his bat out of the lineup to put in David Bodie late for defense, like, that's all I need to see, considering what they continue to do with Morel. They've done it in the past with other guys too, but I don't know. Like, again, it's not a big deal because Nico will be back in the lineup tomorrow, I guess, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but
I think, and this is like, obviously none of the options match up to Nico as far as like defensively. He's Gold Glove defender. You can't just replace that, and they don't have the options behind him to replace him with a Gold Glove level type of guy right now. Now, obviously, like, it's looking like he's not going to go on the IL, so the conversations like kind of moved after today, right? But in the event that like they were to have put him on the IL, I kind of look at it. You're just thinking about it as like they do have versatile players, like position players, like guys that can play multiple positions, especially on the infield. But it doesn't seem like they have, like, they're versatile, but not like maybe Luis Vasquez could be a really good defender at one of those infield positions, but like the rest of the position players like seem solid, but definitely not like amazing at any of those individual positions. So like, yeah, you have options behind Nico, but not one of them makes you feel really good about filling in for Nico, Yeah,
that's the interesting thing. Like, if this team were to free fall and not make the playoffs, not only might there be some front office changes, potentially, you would think there would be some serious roster decisions to make, right? Like, who are your core guys moving forward? And it's interesting because Dansby and Nico, we know for sure they have definitive positions to play. They're elite at those two positions, right?
Yeah.
And you know that Bellinger is either, if he's on the team, center or first. But there are, and Happ is likely your left fielder, but there are so many guys, including guys coming up, that I'm not sure exactly where they are defensively at positions, right? For a team that claims to be focused on doing the little things, and even though the game is proving that you've got to score runs, Shaw, where exactly will he fit? Will he fit at third? Or will a tough decision come and you'll have to decide maybe he is our second baseman because he provides more power and he can play it and the defense might... Like, I think those are the types of difficult decisions that could be coming in the offseason if this were to stay off the rails and continue down the hill right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of Shaw, I mean, Patrick Mooney from The Athletic wrote an article today basically saying that the Cubs have discussed Matt Shaw as being an option at third base.
Right.
And it's the first that we've really seen that, like, it's an aggressive, like, possibility. He's not even in AAA. He's in AA. Like, if I don't know
he's
how
22.
much. I don't know how much to buy into it. All I'm saying is that whoever he's talked to, that's an idea, and we as fans and you two as well, like, know that. Like, we know that Shaw is the future at third base. We believed. We are hoping that Morel or whoever could be a bridge to that, but I personally would be really surprised if they called up Shaw before August and actually played him every day. I would honestly be really shocked because they just haven't been aggressive like that with any prospect except for Bush.
And even though he's exciting as a prospect, right? Like he's near the top of their list if he's not the top of their list. He's not an absolute answer at third base because he's not, from what I hear, he's not like it's not like he's a lockdown gold glove third baseman. Now his bat may play and his legs may play and he may be the absolute fix that the Cubs need. But like Morel, it sounds like they're trying to figure out when he gets here what will be the best spot to put him, right? And that's all I'm saying is, like, whether it's Triantos and you hear they're not quite sure where to put Triantos and you're not quite sure exactly where Morel fits and you're not quite sure exactly where Shaw fits. It sounds like there's a lot of guys, but there isn't the perfect, complete player where you say, this guy is our third baseman for the next 10 years,
yeah.
right? Just because of the defensive flaws.
To the Shaw thing, Cody, I believe the wording was like he could eventually become part of the solution. Yeah. So like not like it didn't seem to me like an anytime soon type of thing.
Yeah.
But like the Cubs have, I mean, even talking to Craig Counsell, I think it was last week, like they are constantly evaluating the whole Morel thing, but then the third base position as a whole. And I know, you know, he was asked about Bush and said at the time, like, that's not the direction they're going with it. And, you know, this was last week. Things like that can change, right? But that the third base is just it's going to be a position that they don't have a long-term answer right now, and they're going to continue to evaluate. So maybe you do get to the All-Star break and Matt Shaw's in AAA, and I almost said Triple H. Shout out Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And Shaw is in
the game.
That's a wrestling term, I'm pretty sure.
It's time to play the game.
Shaw is in AAA. It's at the All-Star break, and you think like, oh man, like he may be part of the solution post All-Star break, post trade deadline, right? Like it's still early June. I'm with you. I'd be shocked if they called him up anytime soon, but it's just going to be a position that they're going to keep evaluating for maybe the entire season and beyond.
Again, I was just saying, like, that was like the first sign where I felt like the Cubs perhaps might be a little aggressive. I'll believe it when I see it.
Or is it also a sign that the Cubs have acknowledged that Morel might not be the solution? The experiment might not be.
Well, that's what the article.
The orange might not be worth.
That's
the
what
squeeze.
Mooney was basically saying in the article, is that they're trying to find other solutions at third base, and like,
imagine that.
I give Morel a lot of credit for trying to make it work, and I think he's done pretty well at making a lot of the routine plays, but he's also made too many bad plays, and his obviously defensive run save is terrible, his outs above average is terrible. And I don't really blame him for the fact that he hasn't been good at third. I blame the organization and the front office for not figuring it out last year when they easily could have.
I think they kind of knew.
Well,
I think that's why I didn't play him at third last year. But
well, then, okay,
it's not going to work.
If you're going to go that route, then why the hell did you go into this year thinking that he could do it?
It was a guy, new manager that wanted to try it.
Because of the bat. But even the
bat
they
wanted to find him a position.
Even the bat's
too,
been inconsistent, even though I like the approach more than I liked the approach last year.
I won't. I'll save everyone the yelling on that.
Go ahead. Well, you know what? First, we want to tell you we're going to be here for a half hour before the game. We're going to be here for a full hour after the game. But don't forget, now's the time before the game even starts. Go to allchgo.com and you can sign up for our CHGO Cubs road trip to Milwaukee. It's coming to the end of the month here, the 29th. We will meet downtown, right? Or almost home, right by Wrigley Field.
Almost home.
And
almost
Obvious
home.
Shirts.
Yes.
Right across from Obvious Shirts. That's where we're going to be leaving from. Your $99 price tag includes your ticket to the game, sitting with the CHGO crew. It includes the party bus on the way up. You can either start at almost home in Wrigleyville, or if you want, you could start, because the first stop will be in Waukegan, not all the way straight to Milwaukee. You're going to stop in Waukegan at Circa Sports and hang out there, play some bets, and then to the tailgate in the parking lot in Milwaukee, and then the game ticket as well, and of course a ride home. I mean, I don't know where you're going to get a deal like that, but it's pretty unbelievable. You're including beer, betting, baseball, and a bus. All the B's that matter.
Yeah.
So that's
It'll be
pretty
a good
cool.
time. $99.
You're keeping the electricity on in Milwaukee too, right?
That's right.
Yeah, they charge you more to park up there anyway. If you go by yourself, it's $40 just to park.
Is that what it's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be?
Yeah.
Well, they
usually charge
Blue
they
Moon
also
Ballpark?
they also charge more when the Cubs come to town.
That's true.
Again, it's part of keeping
Moon
the
Ballpark.
electricity on.
But if you get the if you hop on the bus with CHGO, you don't have to worry about that.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. $99, transportation, game ticket, drinks and food on the bus.
Hang out with us.
Hang out with us. You
Talk
can
a little
tell
softball with
Braggs.
Carm.
You can ask Braggs.
Carm's gonna be on
what
the
his
bus, right?
problem
Yeah.
is.
And Braggs.
You
think.
can ask me what my problem is.
You can confront Carm about being a Sox fan.
Oh,
Sure,
that's
yeah.
a good one.
Sure. And if Hogue goes, you can
Undercover
ask
Sox
him
fan.
why he's a Brewers fan.
That too. That too. He did
Yikes.
wear a Brewers
Whoa.
hat on the Bears show a couple months ago. I remember that.
It's not right.
So I don't know. I mean, it's
Not right.
I'll say to put it in other words, it's the easiest and best way to get through this Cubs season, as they continue to be the most mid team in the National League.
James, are you coming with? James says that the party bus is one of the few non-mid things going on with the Cubbies right now. Credit to us.
Credit to us.
Thanks you.
Also got a super chat.
Big of us.
Ben Warren,
Big of me for coming
$4.99
up with the idea.
says from Ben Warren.
Thanks, Ben.
Waiting for Ben to.
I think he wants to send another comment, but I've done it before too. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you type in the number, like the price or whatever, and
And
then
then just comments.
he thinks that you have to send it first and then comment. So that's
Go
why
ahead
a
and
lot
comment
of people
again,
do
Ben.
that.
Go
I'll
ahead.
read it.
Yeah, so
Whatever
he'll
you say
probably
next, Ben,
Yeah,
we
we'll
will
read
count it as your super chat.
Anyway,
James is out in Oregon, unfortunately.
So
Donnie's in Cali.
so
We
tonight,
have a lot of Cubs fans
Yeah,
who listen to
tonight.
this show all over the
yeah,
country, man.
and all over the world.
Yeah.
Because we're international.
We're
Yeah.
international.
We were the first ever international show in
Yeah.
All-City.
Yeah,
we
don't-
like to say that.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
DNVR guys like to think they're international, but we're international. We're across the pond.
Yeah.
We're in Australia.
Yeah, I almost started an international
UK.
incident the first year.
That's right.
Huh? What'd you do?
It's
Some-
Ireland, North Ireland.
Ireland,
thing.
North
It was a
Ireland
little-
debate. It was yeah. It
little-
was,
Oh, yeah.
I was talking.
We just
out
let
of
it
turn.
go. Some people got upset that he was referring to the wrong Ireland.
I was talking out of turn, and I apologized.
So Ben Warren's at the game. About to walk into the game down here in Florida.
There you
Let's
go.
get the W.
All right.
Speaking of the
Ben.
game,
Yeah.
we should preview it.
All right. Rays,
haven't been doing
Cubs, Tyone tonight. Tyone tonight. What do you expect out of him? Because
To not give me heartburn.
not give you heartburn?
6 innings, 3 earned or less.
All I want is less hits, less contact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's
Because
coming
I
off that
remember
bad
after his
start,
last start,
yeah.
it was like 6, 9, 6, 10. Like he's had a lot of hits, so there's been a lot of contact.
Forgot
the
his
White
last
Sox
start
one
was-
was rough.
It was way too many hits.
Yeah,
was that
and-
10
and
hits against
it
the
was
White
10
Sox?
hits,
Yeah, that's too many.
And there was because most
And
of them,
Robert wasn't one of them.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, most of them came in that one inning, right? Where it just felt like line drive to the
Yeah.
outfield, line drive to the bloop to the outfield, line drive, and so
Just too much contact, though, by a
just,
bad
yeah,
team.
just a lot of contact. So yeah, definitely something where you want to see him miss some bats, get some balls on the ground, do stuff like that to this lineup to kind of shut him down. But yeah, I mean, overall, Tyone I think has been pretty good this year. Even some of his like bad starts haven't really been that bad. So when we're talking about comparing it to last year, and we always discuss like his second half last year, he was definitely a lot better, a little closer to what they wanted him to be when they brought him in. I think this year has been mostly a continuation of that, and that he's definitely not been like a shut down pitcher for the most part. But I think he's done a very good job of keeping this team in ball games and putting them in positions to win ball games basically every time he's gone out there. There's been a couple ones where he hasn't, but I think he's been overall pretty good at doing that. And I expect more of the same today. I do think he'll pitch well tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he's always good for a nice bounce back performance, and again, he's been pretty good this year compared to last. I had to put some people in their place on social media a week or so ago because people were saying he's been an absolute bust whenever he completely has been a lot better since mid-season last year. But
I don't know if he's pitched like a number 2, which is what I think they hoped he would be when they
Perhaps.
first signed him. But he's still been an innings eater and a productive
Yeah.
pitcher that has allowed you to stay in a lot of games.
Yeah.
He's paid very fairly.
Yeah,
For
especially
pitching, for how much
like a
pitching
two-
is going
yes.
this
for like a
these
2-3
days?
type
Yeah.
pitcher. Yeah, I think so. And
You
then
hoped you were getting maybe more, like number 2 starter.
For sure,
But
yeah.
you know what? Imanaga has
risen
so
yeah.
far has risen above that, above what you might have expected out of him for this season.
Yeah.
I think if you're getting what you feel like is a 3 or a 4 from him at this point, like it's fine. And it's not like he's here for 7 or 8 years. It's 4 years. He's in year 2. He's having a bounce back season. He's giving you quality innings in terms of eating innings, and overall, you don't feel like you do last year at the beginning of last year when he came out here and you just felt like the game was over after 1 inning. All right. So, yeah, bad start against the White Sox, but and he had a bad start against the Braves too, but the defense really hurt him in that start. I would say his start against the White Sox was probably his worst start of the season. So, yeah, looking forward to hopefully a bounce back start.
Yeah.
Rays, they're not the Rays of recent years so far this year. They could, but they're going up against Zach Eflin, who was great last year, and he's been kind of mid this year.
Yeah, his walk rate is really low. We were just seeing that on the broadcast. I think it was 1.5% walk rate, something like that.
He has,
which is like the best in baseball, like
he
for
has
minimum
4
60
walks.
innings pitched. So he's not gonna. It doesn't seem like he's gonna give the Cubs a lag. They're gonna have to beat him.
Yeah.
He's not gonna make a bunch of mistakes against his team, is what it seems like. So they gotta take advantage of it when he does.
But you do have Talkman Walkman at the top of the lineup, so
He didn't walk
See who
one
wins that
person in May. Not one
There you
walk
go.
in May.
It's pretty
you watch
incredible.
Talkman lead off the game with a walk. because baseball,
Because
right?
baseball.
No
It
walks
says-
in May, he'll start the game with a walk.
It says he has a 4.14 earn run average, but I think it's largely because of his first couple starts of the year. He's actually been fine. Like in May, he kept them in ball games. Like the most he gave up in May was 4 earned on May 18th. But other than that though, he's still going 5-6 innings at least, 3 earned or less. Don't look at the earn run average and just assume that the Cubs are going to roll over this guy. This guy's been pretty good for most of his Rays career. So.
Yeah.
I will point out about the Rays, though, they do give up the most home runs in baseball. So this Cubs
they?
team is going to slug this series. I got a pretty good feeling they're going to put quite a few balls over the fence.
Look at
We're
that.
starting
He
to
has
see
given
Hap.
up five homers.
Who's gonna have taters tonight for dinner? Is it gonna be Bellinger, Morel, Hap,
Well, I picked Bellinger
Swanson,
for,
Bush?
I picked Bellinger for who you got. So
Morel's swinging the bat really well right now, still
Yeah.
taking his walks, and so is Hap. I'd say one of those two is going to have a pretty big
yeah.
series.
I wrote about that this morning.
Saya's been hitting better, I think, the last couple.
Yeah.
So
Eflin's
do you
given
take-
up 8 homers.
Who do you guys take for who you got? Because I don't know if people know this, but I'm refraining until the team reaches the 500 mark.
I took Bellinger.
Will not make a selection until they're truly a mid team.
We'll let the chat decide. Chat, should Luke refusing to take who you got picks, should those be automatic losses to his record? Send your notes in the
Make
chat.
50% of the picks is
Send
what
your
we
notes in
said.
the
You got to
chat.
make 50% of the
I thought we
picks.
said 75.
We
going into
installed
the
that last year
Dumbest
when I was about to have a baby, right?
All I have is who you got.
Is it
all
50,
I got.
is it 50 or 75%? Which one?
I thought it was
50.
75. I'm pretty sure he said 75 before the
50.
beginning of the year. So.
I'll have to run it by the commissioner.
That's me.
Taking
The answer is 50.
Amaya's looked a little better at the plate recently.
Yeah.
Some harder hit balls, putting up some hits.
He did get over the Mendoza line, so
Almost had the game-tying home run in Cincinnati.
if he has a
Justin and
huge
Donnie
series,
taking Bush.
you know who to credit.
So he's looked better. You mentioned Morel, or what Kevin mentioned Morel. I wrote about it earlier in a newsletter for CHGO Diehard to become a diehard.
Heyo.
If you want access to that, but while we've discussed the bad luck that's been going on with him for a while, the expected numbers have been really high. The batted ball stuff has been really good. He's still taking the walks, not striking out as much as he's done in the previous 2 years of his career. The last 10 games, his numbers have greatly improved. They were really good over the last 10 games. His overall numbers have obviously improved with that. And while it's only 10 game sample size, I think it's not. I think you look at it as more than just a hot streak and a small sample size success. Whereas this is a little bit more of what the numbers have been telling us. The numbers he's been putting up, underlying number wise, have been showing that this should come. The bad streak shouldn't last forever. This kind of performance should come. So it's a little bit more of what the numbers say he should have been doing.
Or he's one of the guys that actually took advantage of facing the Reds and the White Sox. Maybe that's possible too, right? It could be those
A couple
were
of those games
garbage
were Brewers
teams.
too.
Yeah,
A couple of those games were Brewers too.
one of them, right? Because there
two.
were 9 against
2 of
you
them.
said the last 10 games.
I think 11, 10 or 11. I think there was
Yeah.
2 Brewers games in there.
Okay,
But yeah, no, I mean,
I hope it's
Sure.
what you're saying, and not just that they were facing bad teams, because the team didn't take advantage of facing bad teams.
Sure, that's fair.
You're talking about Morel, correct?
Yeah.
Morel
Yeah.
specifically, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Cerami from Bleacher Nation had a great tweet today. This is tweeting his numbers since May 30th, and it's basically what Ryan said. Like, he's been a lot better. He's he had a great series against the White Sox. I thought he had a good weekend against the Reds too, and he continues to walk, and the K rate's low. He's still going to strike out. Everyone strikes out, but he's
Especially
not
when you have
striking.
the power profile that he
Right,
has.
but he's not striking out at the level of last year. To me, like,
I think he's right around league average strikeout
Yeah.
wise.
when you go from striking out over 30% of your plate appearances down to like 21 and still hit the ball as hard as he has, I don't. That's insanely impressive to me.
Yeah.
If you had to have progress the first half of the season from Christopher Morel in A, defense at third, or B, cutting down and strikeouts and reaching for sliders, I'd still take
Yeah.
the offensive side.
You have a DH.
Right.
Like, you have a DH spot. To
So
put
there
him if
you
you
can
need
still
to.
you can still find a place for that guy, and it still could lead to
Yeah.
better things. All right, we're back for a full hour after the game for the post game show. Hope you'll join us then. Hit the like button, thumbs up, whatever on the way out. Appreciate everybody that joined us in the live YouTube chat. Best way to enjoy the CHGO experience is to subscribe to that CHGO Sports YouTube page. We'll see you back here after the game. Until then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.